Hey everyone, welcome back to CPM Zone. Oscar here. Thank you for joining me today. Now, today is Saturday, it's March 13th, and so as you know, from now on, we're going to have construction news Saturdays. And from here on out, we're going to have construction news Saturdays with Steer, who was my dog. If you didn't watch my stream from March 10th, it marked a very big day for me and also explain who Steer is why I have the stuffed animal here of Steer. Um, so if you're kind of curious, you can go check out the last stream that I did, like I said, on March 10th. It was the one about how I turned $5,000 profit into $18,000 profit. But anyways, let's get to the news. So we're gonna start with something kind of big, something that also this has happened. This is from another state. I'm in California, and we've had our own issues with a similar problem. Except it seems that Hawaii is handling it better than our dumbass politicians here. So in Hawaii, if you guys haven't heard, they have a high-speed rail project that they have already started, and they're working on it right now. But apparently, the new person or the interim CEO of the Hawaii, what was it, the Hawaii Authority for Rail or for Rapid Transportation, or HART, there in Hawaii. This is actually going through, I believe, Honolulu right now, and so, or it's going to be going through Honolulu. Like I said, it's a high-speed rail project. They have 20 miles to go. And this is a $9 billion project, but it's a lot of money. But now here's the thing: they just stopped work on it. Why, you may ask? Well, for one, they're between $2 and $3 billion over budget already. Not only that, when the interim CEO of Hart was starting to go through the financials and all the expenses, she found that apparently there were a bunch of consultants that were all redundant. So she literally let them all go. And the design wasn't finished when they took on the project. Now, as far as I know, this was not a design build project, especially when you're talking about high speed rail. I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff needs to be done before they kind of get started, especially acquiring land, where it's going to go through, and all those kinds of things before they start construction. So there's a couple issues here. And the interim CEO, let me take a look here. I did read the article and just kind of hitting the highlights here, but there was that the consultants, so they're completely over budget. And the problem is that this interim CEO now, in order to finish the design, has gone out to contract the services to finish the design and all the engineering. The problem is that that they put in, I believe, 1.7 billion dollars that they figured in order to finish it. Problem is that they had two companies that were able to bid it, but they were at like 2.7 and 2.8 billion. So that kind of blew their budget out of the water. So now they're gonna have to go back and take a look to see what they're gonna do. But another problem is, because of the fact that the design wasn't done, they hadn't apparently acquired all of the land that they needed. So they actually have to go back and take a look, because it requires not only from private citizens that apparently they were going to go through, but also schools, including the University of Hawaii itself. That's a problem. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen here, because they're way over budget. Obviously, you see, if it's a $9 billion project, $3 billion is a third of the budget. And that is a lot. I mean, you're lucky if you go over by 5 or 10% at the most. But to be 33%, one third over budget, I mean, that's just poor running of that project from the get-go. That's just insane. Like I said, here in California, we have kind of the same problem. Many years ago, there was a promise of the high-speed rail that was going to be here in California. They were kind of debating whether it would go from like LA to Vegas, or up and down the state. And so they wrote the bill, and it went onto the ballot. What was it? I guess, was it a bill? I can't remember. Anyways, but it went out to the ballot for, the California people to vote. The problem is that it was actually written pretty well, but once it passed and we started getting funds, the committee that was in charge of putting all this together, getting all the people together, so that they can start designing and stuff, they were just a waste of money all the way around. Taking trips to other parts around the world to take a look. I mean, I understand that sometimes you need to go see it, to see kind of what you're looking for, what kind of, not just aesthetics, but engineering wise, what you kind of need to be looking for, similar designs that you might want to do, things like that. But I mean, they spent a good 5 or 6 years just literally doing nothing but visiting and planning. There were no drawings or anything, nothing started. And by the time they got around to actually figuring out where the first leg was going to be, it's like from Modesto to some other no-name place. It's like in the middle of nowhere. What good is that first line? You need to start somewhere kind of well known and start working your way to the next place and the next place after that. Because what good is a rail? Who's going to use it? No one's going to use it, and they're never going to recover the funds that they had, because if you make it like that, then where there aren't people to ride the train, how are you going to make the money back? There's no way to do that. So there was a big legal fight and everything, and there were provisions or milestones, I guess, and different things that were in the bill, but apparently the people in charge of the committee, they're not sticking to that. And so, of course, the unions want part of that money, the friends that are contractors of people on the committee, and they want money, they want contracts. And so there's been a lot of spending and nothing to show for it, literally. And we're at like year 12 or some shit like that. I just don't understand it. We should have killed it a long time ago. This is going nowhere. This is not going to happen. We're going to have freaking Elon Musk finish the tunnels before we get this stupid fucking high-speed rail even, started to get built. And they didn't even, same thing. They didn't really acquire the land, as part of this. Like at the beginning when they were starting to plan it, their farmers don't want to sell. They don't want to, give up their land and things like that. So now they've had to redesign it so that it's above ground, as in the air, kind of like the monorail from Disneyland and Disney World. That type of system. And it's not even. It's supposed to reach. Supposed to go from LA to, I believe, San Francisco in a lot shorter time, obviously. But the problem is that the high-speed train, the way they first thought about it, was that it would actually be going through cities. So, of course, you can't have a high-speed rail because part of the design actually use existing rail lines. So they're not designed for high-speed rail. So that means that the high-speed rail would only be like in the rural areas where there really isn't a dense population. So you're going to have it go really fast, like in the center of the state where, most of the population is livestock and shit. And then when it comes to the cities, it has to slow down to regular train speeds. Then what's the point of the high-speed rail if you don't have it designed so that it can go from point A to point B at literally the full potential that it can? That is a problem. And like I said, I don't know why we didn't kill it, but in a way I kind of do know why. It's because all this money was coming in. As a matter of fact, the federal government has already pulled a lot of the funding that they had or that they were going to get for it for high-speed rail, because it's taking so long and there's been so much money wasted that even the federal government is getting out of it and not going to help us finish it up. So I believe the initial number was something like $60 billion to build this thing. Then from there it went to 90, and I think we're at like 110 now. I mean, that's almost double the budget. So I really hope someone decides to kill this, but this dumbass fucking people that are getting tons of money from this, of course they're not going to kill. They're going to fight tooth and nail so it doesn't die. That's just my take. Let's move on to story number 2. Sorry guys. new stuff going on here. Let me get this over here. Let's see. That one. Story number 2, by the way, don't forget, guys, the links to these stories are in the description. And they're all from Construction Dive this time around also. I think I'm going to kind of dig around for next week's stuff if I get a chance to. This is kind of my go-to site right now for news, and there's a lot of stuff. There's very good stuff there. You really should check out that site. All right, story number 2. That we've got reports that the construction spending is up. Owners are spending money for jobs. And their job growth, is it the job growth? Yeah. So they're spending money. We're getting more projects on the table, on the books to be done. The problem is that job growth is down. But of course, this is because, why? Because there's a shortage in jobs because everyone a lot of people already went back to work. And I touched on this last week, where we've had a lot of people that actually left the industry altogether after the pandemic started. And so we weren't able to get the entire workforce back that we had because we need them, all of them back, and then some. So now we didn't even get them, and now we need even more some, if that makes any sense. So we got the job growth being down, and construction starts are up, which means the jobs that were on the books previously and those coming up now are starting. So the labor shortage is going to get even worse when we have even more and more construction projects beginning without having the labor force there, which is going to put a strain on those who are already working, and now they're going to have to work either extra hours, go job to job real fast, and things like that. So I believe this is going to lead to a delay in some of these projects actually getting done, or even delayed that they start. So who knows what's going to happen with that one. Let's see any other things. Let's see. The amount of construction that's going on now and the spending and everything is actually the highest we've ever had in this country's history. All the numbers for construction are up. Everybody, now that we've got money, everything, is going to start opening up again, and all that stuff is going. It's just going nuts. Okay, so like I've said at the beginning of my channel and things like that, I want us to build a community so that we can help those that otherwise wouldn't be able to help themselves to get started. Whether they need a tool, they need a little bit more education, something like that. I want to be able, for us as a community, not just me, but us, to be able to reach out and give them that helping hand that they need to get started and get them on their feet. Because without the labor force, we can't move forward as a society. I've said this many times. We need to have the facilities built. We need to have the homes built. We need to, everything that we really need, all the commercial area, the industrial, those things have to be built in order for us to move ahead. And like I've said, there's advances in medicine, in materials engineering, and all kinds of other things that can't happen if there's no place to actually do it, and no place to actually develop processes and develop new materials to be used and things like that, so that we can advance. Construction is needed no matter how you look at it. We just need to become a little smarter about how we use the materials and how we use the resources that are needed in order to construct the buildings, and get better materials that are more weather resistant or high efficiency materials, high efficiency equipment, things like that, and longer lasting, so that they have a longer lasting life cycle, so that we're not throwing stuff in the trash, or we can reuse it more often. Okay. Let's see. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that hiring has slowed as the pandemic continues. But once again, it kind of goes hand in hand. If there's not enough people going around for us to hire and get work done, then obviously there's going to be a slowdown in hiring, because if there's nobody there to hire, how are you supposed to get those numbers up? Obviously. Okay. Let's see what else. Construction starts are back up to pre-COVID numbers. That's right. So prior to COVID, obviously we had projects starting up at a decent rate. And now after, even though we're still in the pandemic right now, because of the loosening up of the different measures that we've had in place to cope with this, the construction starts are ramping up. So, and you know what that means. Everybody wants their shit, and they want it now. So, but without, like I said, without the labor force there, we're going to have to expect delays. And the owners of these places that want to be built are gonna have to wait. There's just no way around it. Um, oh yes, that's right. And one other thing that we have in the major metropolitan areas, big ones, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, things like that. How can you tell when there's a lot of work going on? Well, kind of yes, kind of no, because they could be just idle. But crane usage is up in Los Angeles, and actually not Chicago, not New York, but Seattle. Yeah, crane rentals and crane usage in Seattle is almost the same as Los Angeles. And let me tell you, you come down to LA and you driving by on one of the freeways, I mean, you can see the cranes, from miles away. Tower cranes, even some of the smaller cranes you can see from far away. The 1690 tonners, you can see those guys from the freeway. You can see the construction that's going on. I don't think we have a lot of like really tall towers going up right now, but I mean, you can see them in the distance. I mean, it's insane. Like I said, and it's not just in like the main downtown area. Obviously, it's all around Los Angeles County, all over Orange County. Also, there's a bunch of stuff. Can't remember Disneyland is doing. I haven't been over in that direction for quite a while. If they have any construction going on, other than they are, I believe they're finalizing. What is it? Avengers Land or something like that. Whatever their Marvel themed part of California Disney's California Adventure Park. I believe that's getting done because they're supposed to open either June or July of this year, and hopefully they'll be at a higher capacity. But of course, we're still going to be in the pandemic, so we'll see what happens. That was the second story, and that was linked down at the bottom of this of the stream here. Let's see what else we got. Third story, number 3, is the COVID relief package that just got past the House. And I don't remember if the president has signed it yet. When I was doing this, getting all these stories together, I believe, was it last night or Wednesday night? Good Lord, Thursday night or Friday night? I can't remember, but it passed the House and it was going to the president for a signature. But what we have to keep in mind is that yes, there's billions of dollars in this because it's a $1.9 trillion package, and it has a lot of things in it. It's not just money for obviously the people, but there's a lot of money going to capital improvements that the states and the different counties around the U.S. are getting quite a bit of money, like $200 million or $215 million plus another $100 million for something else also. And I think that one is it's specifically to be used on schools and educational facilities, something like that. But yeah, so that would pass the House. Now, one major thing to keep in mind is that even though yes, it is money for capital improvements, also for federal buildings and things like that, it's not specifically for transportation and infrastructure. That is completely separate thing that's going to happen. President Biden has not finished that up yet, so we don't know yet. And I think we covered it. I can't remember if I talked about it last week or not, but President Biden has a bunch of things that he was going to do, and of course, he got the unions involved. Yeah, he got the unions involved where he was asking for feedback from them and things like that. But the problem is that it was just the unions. What about the the Association of General Contractors of America? They should have been included because all of this federal money shouldn't be just for union work. That is completely, I guess not fair, because there are other places where you can get skilled labor, not just the union. So, but he did say that, that they brought him there to dance. And that just sounds like, to me, like, yeah, they paid me or they voted me in, so I kind of have to do this, right? Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so they've been getting money, part of the bill, blah, blah, blah. Employer. Oh, that's right. Part of the bill includes money for employer paid payroll taxes. So that's going to give the owners relief also, because then, it's giving them money to put into, of course, I don't know if they're really going to use it for that, right, Steer? uh, just because you get just because they get that money for payroll taxes doesn't mean they're just gonna set it aside just for payroll taxes. They're probably gonna use it as capital so that they can work. Oh shoot, you guys, hang on! I can't believe it. Let's see what is going on. All right, guys, hang on a second. I will be right back. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, I got to give you guys a screen here, but I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Let me get back in here. All right. So we were talking about the COVID bill. That's right. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much everything. The whole thing with the infrastructure to be in a separate bill and everything. Yeah, payroll taxes, capital improvements, yada yada yada. I encourage you to go read that story. Let's see. That was number 3. So let's check out number 4. Oh, yeah. So in the state of Texas, one of the I can't remember if it's a senator or part of the House in their state legislature, has written a bill to fund or to create a fund so that they have money to finish the border wall that former President Trump had begun. It didn't say, I think they said that they have 180 or 181 miles of the border wall already built from the previous administration. So he wants to create this fund so that they can finish it. But it's not just about finishing the border wall. The funds will also be included for technology and for maintenance, for the weighing the trucks and things like that, and X-rays and all of that good stuff that goes along with these things. Whenever you create a border passing, pretty much they have to scan the big trucks and things like that. So that's going to be part of the bill, of this fund. So they're going to have to, this money going to go to planning, designing, constructing, and maintaining the wall once it's built. Let's see. Oh, that's right. And there's a provision in there that allows for the governor to actually go to the administration, the current administration, and ask for reimbursement. Which, of course, I'm sure that if this happens, if they do end up finishing the wall, for whatever reason that they do vote that in, they fund it, they finish the wall, and they turn around and said, hey, we finished what was started under the previous administration. We finished this federal job with state funds, so we want to get reimbursed for it. And I'm pretty sure that the federal government is going to say, fuck you guys finished it on your own, so you're out the money. We're not going to give you any money back. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Let's see. Oh, that's right. So, part of the new administration, part of President Biden's set, or all of his executive orders that he signed as soon as he got into office, one of them was to stop or to halt, really, the construction of the border wall. And so what the rest of the bill pretty much is, or the rest of the law, the executive order, I should say, also includes having the contracts kind of like not demonetized, but where they're going to try to see if they can use those contractors and those resources, that money, somewhere else to do other things, or even maintenance along the border wall, things like that. Not the new one, but to help out, stuff like that. And after a while, if for any reason they can't do that, how do they state it? They're supposed to see if that can happen, or if that doesn't happen, that they're going to see if they can take the contracts and the contractors to either reassign them, resume those projects, depending on what it is, or just flat out terminate the contract. I don't know the legalities of that, depending on how those contracts are written, but obviously they're usually written to enrich the owner. That's really what it is. So if they have the contract where they can literally just terminate it at will without any compensation more than the work that they've already completed, I do not know if that is the case. We shall see. So that was story number 4, which honestly I thought was one of the bigger ones. The Hawaiian story was pretty big because of the dollar amount. I don't know what the dollar amount is going to be, obviously, for this thing with Texas, but I think that's going to be a pretty big deal, especially for those of you that do work, federal work, Let's see. Move on to story number 5. Story number 5. Oh, yes. For those of you that do those quick turnarounds, in retail areas and also the food service industry, like Carl's Jr., not too long ago, must have been 8-10 years now, they started revamping their stores. And you know how that goes. You know, you got to turn those things around very quickly, because if not, they lose money. They lose money every day that they're not open and in business. So this one is for you guys. The fast food chain Wendy's, their plan for 2021 is to globally open up 250 more locations, which would give them, let's see, yeah, that's right. Globally, they would open 250 more locations. So as of right now, or actually no, I'm sorry, by the end of 2021, they're gonna have around the world a little over 7,000 stores. But their goal is to globally have about 8,000 stores by 2025. Now you may ask, what spurred this? Why so many stores in pretty much 4.5 years, if you really think about it? Well, what's been going on? The sales for the fast food industry have actually, kind of started going up, even with the pandemic that hit. I know the industry got hit hard at the beginning, but as things kind of started loosening up, and they had the health agency around here, the public health agency, going around and issuing orders so that they could actually open and things like that. They actually were part of the benefactors of, the relief, really. So they also want to take advantage of the contraction of the industry, which is why the smaller restaurants went out of business. They just couldn't handle not having the business, so they had to close. So that, like I said, it created a contraction in the industry. So there isn't as much competition, which leads people to the major chains that are able to keep their stores open. So that being said, Wendy's wants to take advantage of that, and that's why they want to add so many more restaurants within the next 4.5 years to increase their market share, going from 7,000 to 8,000 stores. And this thing has been such an explosion for Wendy's that actually they've designed drive-through only locations. Now, I haven't heard, I don't know where they have any of these. I don't know that they've built any yet, but they do have two designs. The one that has nothing but a drive-through. You literally just pull up, order, and take off. When you think about it, it's kind of like the idea that Sonic is, except, they have the parking spots where you can park and they'll bring your food to you. No, Wendy's is going to do it like literally, like you pull up, you order, you grab your food from the window, and you're gone. That's it. It's over and done. They also have a design literally where you just come, you park, you get your food, and you leave. There's no dining whatsoever, which is why you would say, well, why would you do that and not do just drive-through? So in essence, they want to have pretty much the same, the best of both worlds. Those areas are going to have, like I said, the walk-up. So you walk up, you order your food, which reminds me a lot of, if you guys know the restaurant, the world's largest hot dog chain, Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel, a lot of their locations are, I say a lot of their locations, but not all of them. But a lot of their locations are literally a window pickup and a drive-through. They might have some seating outside, but like 2 or 3 tables only, things like that. But it kind of reminds me of that type of design that like Wendy's is trying to pretty much mirror. That you'll have the drive-through and you'll have a window pickup available. But like I said, their main design looks like is that they're going to try to go with drive-through only, at least here in the States for a lot of stuff. But globally, they're still going to try to get their entire restaurant with seating and everything. But we'll see what happens, especially with this pandemic. And hopefully it ends here quickly. We've had some flare-ups and also new strains that have come up. So we'll see what happens in the near future. Hopefully, if it's not too bad, we can, like I said, we can start opening up, and especially now with the vaccine. But of course, with the new variants, the vaccine won't work with the new variants. But who's to say? I'm not a doctor. I don't know. So that's the major story from Wendy's. So story number 6 is The House has passed. Oh, this one is the one that the House has passed this bill. It hasn't been signed by President Biden yet. I'm very, very sorry. The other one that I said that has passed and everything, that one I believe is already a law. The 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, that one's already gone through. This one is called the PRO Act of 2019 because it was written and introduced in 2019, I guess, but nothing got worked out until now. So, kind of. Like I said, President Biden hasn't signed it. I think it went to his desk, but he hasn't signed it yet. But it's called the PRO Act, which stands for Protecting the Right to Organize. Now, I've said it before. I don't like the unions. I do not like unions at all. But I understand that some people need that representation because they can't ask for themselves. They can't get people together and say, hey, you know what, they don't know how to collectively bargain for themselves, which is why you would bring in the union, because then they already have experience in that. They have set things, they know what to ask for and all kinds of other stuff. And so for me though, I really don't like the union because I would like to be in charge of where my money goes, because you don't know where your dues go. They always say, oh, for this and that, here and there. But what if you have different political views than the heads in the union that use your money to donate to certain political parties or have certain political affiliations that you don't agree with? That also is where I have a big problem. Now, the PRO Act, there's a few different, like the large parts. There's a bunch of stuff that's in the PRO Act, but here we'll touch on a couple of the major ones. So I guess it changes the union certification process so that when the people organize and they want to certify the union, it's going to change the rules. So I'm not exactly sure in what direction it's going to change them, but it does not sound good for the employee or for the employers, because as we all know, if you've heard in the news, I want to say it's Alabama, but it's somewhere in the South, Amazon has been not fighting the union, but the people that work in the warehouses there have been calling on Amazon to let them unionize. Now, like I said, there's nothing wrong with unionization. That's fine. But it also depends on the benefits that they're asking for, because you need to be compensated for what you are doing. Like, if you guys look at the stimulus bill that President Biden had just signed, and the money's going to be distributed pretty soon, the Democrats were pushing hard for a national $15 an hour wage or minimum wage, which I don't know if you guys know, but that is completely insane. You kind of need to some degree, the market needs to kind of adjust. You have to let the market kind of feel itself out and see where it lands. And if people really can't live for what the minimum wage is, or, you have to look at the mean and the median incomes of the people in the state or the areas so that you can kind of get a feel for, this is something for the smart people that are good with finance and good with numbers, statistics, and things like that, where they need to sit down with the lawmakers and kind of go through and see what's going on, because you can't just, like the states in the Midwest, you're telling me that they don't have living wages there. They need $15 an hour. Well, their minimum wage is only a little bit above the $8. They're actually at federal minimum wage, which is $8 and change, $8.75 or $8.25. I think it's $8.75, something like that. You're telling me that the people there are not surviving right now. I understand that's not a living wage, but you do understand that the money goes further. It's, that area there, everything is already, set as far as like, if you're making minimum wage. And besides, we also have to bring up the point that minimum wage is not something for you to live off of. It is not a living wage, and it's done that way on purpose. It's for you to go in and get experience, and also get some education so that you can move up from there. These minimum wage jobs are not meant to be careers, guys. Okay. So if you take a state like Alabama, or actually, no, not even Alabama, I think like Arkansas or Oklahoma, something where they have the federal minimum wage. Now you're going to give them $15 an hour. That almost doubles their money. And you're like, good, because now their money can go further. Now they have more money to spend. They have more disposable income. But you do understand that by increasing the minimum wage, now the employer has a decision to make. They either figure out how to sell more units to make a higher profit, or actually their cost of doing business is going to go up quite a bit. So now, how do they compensate for it? They're going to have to raise prices. So now that wage increase is going to increase the price of products, which in turn is going to cost the people more money, and they're going to end up where they started. All right. The best thing to do is to offer a better system of paying for education to entice people to go to school to get better paying jobs. I understand that we need some of the people. Not everyone is fit for school and get a career. Some people really are just manual laborers, and they're perfectly content with that, and they can make a living doing their thing. So you kind of have to see that. But luckily, that was taken out of the bill that passed. So you don't have to worry about that. But that's a little something to think about. Because I know here in California, just this year, the minimum wage was raised to $14 an hour. And I believe either next year or within 2 or 3 years, it's going to be at $15 an hour. And of course, the cost of living here is very high. We pay a lot of money. But we also have the potential to make a lot of money with the right education and getting the right career going. Okay. So, sorry, I kind of got off topic there. So the other thing is also, and this is going to really, really fuck up some people, but this bill eliminates the right to work states. Yeah. You're not going to have that anymore. You're not going to have that protection anymore as a worker, as an employee. No more right to work states. And you know how many of them there are in the US? There's 27 right to work states. That's going out the window, guys. If this bill actually gets signed, like I said, it passed the House. It needs to go to the Senate and then have the president sign it. But a lot of the non-union organizations that are in construction, like the Association of General Contractors of America, they are having a problem with this because of that. Well, not just because of the right to work, but because of all the other things that are in this bill. So no more right to work in these states, guys. And then I also have what they call the fair share approach to collective bargaining, which means if you're not part of the union, you're not gonna get any benefits. If the union collectively bargains and it affects you, now you're forced to pay dues whether you want to or not, because they collectively bargained for you, for your industry, and for you. So it's going to force people to actually pay union dues. That's not good. It's just more money. That's what the unions want. They just want more money so they can do more shit. And trust me, I know, because my brother is in the union. He's in the steel workers, or the iron workers union, sorry. And yeah, it's just there's all the politics going on there and all the anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. That's completely irrelevant. And they also redefine, let me see, the employer and employee, meaning that's gonna be easier for workers to qualify for benefits, it's gonna let them qualify for benefits, and it's gonna make employers, it's going to force them to be more responsible for the people that are affected or that they have an impact on their work sites. So, it's just going to be, the cost of business is just going to be going up, guys. And so, people a lot of times, even owners, like, I can't believe this is so expensive. And this is why. Because of all the bureaucracy, all the bullshit that they start making so that their friends can make more money, so that they can get kickbacks and shit like that. But it costs all of us little guys more money to even be able to conduct business, and it puts more restrictions and all this union bullshit also. So yeah, I can understand why some of the other organizations, labor organizations, are actually kind of mad about this. This really shouldn't pass, in my opinion. So that was story number 6. Okay, so here we go. Here's the last story. Now this story is has to do in the financial sector. Now, as project managers, you probably know that there is project management software out there that you can install, and it has a database so that multiple users can use it at the same time, and it's giving you real-time updates on everything when you pull reports and stuff like that. So one of the major ones that we know is Procore. Now, before the pandemic, and I mean they're pretty big. Before the pandemic hit, apparently Procore was getting ready to file papers with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Committee, in order to go public. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Procore was preparing an IPO. Sadly, because of the pandemic, it delayed them. But now it's back on. They're getting ready. They're getting all their crossing their T's, dotting their I's, so that they can put in their application for an IPO from the SEC. Now, right now, there's no timeline as to when they're actually going to submit their application and whether or not they're going to be approved, so that they can do this and what they're going to be valued at. Of course, these financial guys, economists, they know how to kind of figure this out, but you need the assets, how much money they have in the bank, probably like customer wise and market share, how deep they are and all kinds of other shit. But that's not for me to worry about. So yeah, they were going to do it last year, but the pandemic hit. So we'll see what they come out at, because obviously the higher the price, the more their worth actually grows. Okay. And so you can catch that, like I said, over on constructiondive.com. That's going to be it. That's the last story that I have for you for this week. Thought those were kind of the more major ones. Not really much as far as tech and stuff goes. I like covering the tech. I mean, I guess you could kind of say that the Procore IPO one is kind of like tech because they're a software company, but at the same time, it's a financial story. I would throw that into the financial sector more than I would any of the other ones. So anyways, that's that for the construction news today, or for this week, being today, Saturday, March 13th. So if you guys aren't subscribed, please do me a favor. Subscribe, hit the like button if you learned anything, or if I enticed you to go read about these stories. Now, trust me, there's plenty of stories out in the construction industry that are going on. I believe this month is pretty much dedicated to empowering women in construction. Well, actually, women in general. But really, in the construction industry, there are a lot of women getting into the higher up positions. And we also have tradeswomen. Let's not forget. It's not just tradesmen, but we also have tradeswomen. From iron workers to carpenters. I believe I've seen a plumber before. And all kinds of other things. They're getting into engineering, project management. I mean, they really are getting all over the place, and we really do need to be more inclusive. Now, let's see, one of the other jobs that I've had, I shared an office with a female project manager, and guys, there's absolutely nothing special. There's nothing, really different. It's just, the style in which the projects are managed might be a little different, but it's just another project manager. Same thing when you guys are out in the field. Given there are physical limitations to what women can do compared to what men, and it's not being, I'm not trying to be either sarcastic or demeaning or anything like that, but it's a scientific fact that yes, women can get muscle, women can get strong, but men are just biologically built. Their muscles are just to be able to lift more and things like that. And from speaking to tradeswomen out there, they do understand that, and they do see that sometimes they will need help to carry things, to put something, to hold something in place, while someone else, because they physically can't. And as men, we should encourage women, if they like that kind of thing, to become tradeswomen. But I mean, I guess in a way, for me, it's women being out there. I I have to say, I do have a guardian personality type, so it's kind of something that um I will kind of look to not take care of, but to to help out whenever possible. But here's the thing: if there's a woman out there being a tradesman, I see that person. I see them as a person. It's not a guy. It's not a girl. It's a person. And if that person needs help with something, I will be there to help. Whether it's physically, or physically picking something up, moving things, heck, if they're unsure about what they're doing or the measurements that they took, I'll lend a helping hand. And guys, you should too. Don't discourage them, women, in any way, shape, or form. Let them chase their dreams. Just remember, when you were kids, when you guys had your dreams, didn't matter whether it was mom or dad, because there was always one of them that probably didn't want to push you, depending on what your dream was, of course. And while the other ones completely supported you. But guess what I'm trying to say is, in the end, when we're out there, we're all the same, guys. We're trying to get the same job done. We're trying to put up the same 2x4s, the same pieces of steel, the same pipe, the same nails. We're trying to drive the same screws. It doesn't matter. Construction doesn't care. The building doesn't care if it was built by a man or a woman or anything. Think of this. A woman that's out there, a tradeswoman that's out there, if they physically can't lift things, certain things, and they need help, think of this. When you went out there, if you were an apprentice or just getting started, weren't there things that you probably couldn't pick up and you needed help from someone, or you figured out how to lift it or move something? It's the same thing. Tradeswomen, it's the same thing. They might need help picking things up. They might need help with Don't be afraid to offer the help. And tradeswomen, just the same. Don't be afraid to ask for the help. Most guys out there, hey, we're out there, we're trying to get the job done because we know that it needs to get done, right? So same thing, tradeswomen will do the same. They need to get done, whether they're welders, like I said, being iron workers, welders, carpenters, whatever. We just need to lend each other a helping hand to get the job done, okay? So other than that, we just have to give a major, major thank you. Without women, we won't have our moms, guys. We won't have our mothers, whether they were nagging us or whatever. Hey, doesn't matter. I love my mom, guys, and you guys should too. So, and yeah, I was gonna make a comment, but I'm not going to, because I know it will get me in trouble one way or another. Anyways, but yeah, other than that, you know what, guys? I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'm sure Steer had a good time. We'll probably interact with Steer a little more next time, and he's gonna be here on all my streams, whether it's Construction News Saturday or if it's just the regular stream on Wednesdays. I don't know. I might be changing things here and there. Who knows? Who knows? Not sure. It's always an evolving thing. It's just like a schedule, guys. Remember, a schedule is fluid. It's ever changing. You just got to adjust to how it goes and all that stuff. Same thing, guys. This is a work in progress. It's going to be for a while, all right? But I really wanted to include Steer, and he's going to be included in all the rest of my streams. All right, guys? He might even lend a helping hand here and there. Right, Steer? All right, guys. With that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys are having a good weekend, or have a good weekend planned out between today and tomorrow. And I'll see you guys on the next stream. So remember, guys, always, always, always social distance. Well, right now during the pandemic, social distance, wear your mask. And whenever you're out on the job site or anywhere else that you need any PPE, don't forget to have your safety vest. You have your ear protection, eye protection, your hard hat, and anything else you might need. All right, when you guys are out on the job site. So until next time, guys, stay safe. Oh, and that did not end well.